Swahaya. This is BioPheonix. In case you did not understand what I just said, hello everyone, this is BioPheonix here, like I normally do at the beginning of every video, but instead I decided to make it into that language that they have in this game called Shadow of the Colossus. Yeah, I think I'll just continue the video in English if that's alright with you guys. So anyways, this is Shadow of the Colossus and it was originally released for the PS2 in 2005 in North America. But there was also an HD remake on the PS3 that also comes with the game Ico. But we're going to be looking at the PS2 version since, well, if there was no PS2 version, there wouldn't be an HD version. So anyways, let's get along with it. So the story is about a guy named Wonder. So he must love dem Wonder Bread, don't you agree? Okay, no, that's just his name. But anyways. But he is traveling on horseback across many lands just to save a girl. But she's not kidnapped this time. Instead, she is just lying there just like fast asleep. Or dead, whatever. But the main point of the story is that you have to wake up this girl by slaying down many giants called the Colossus. And you were told this information by some mysterious voice that kinda comes from the sky, but yeah, you'd pretty much want to take the word for it, wouldn't you? And that is the general idea of the story, and so far I would have to say it actually doesn't sound that bad. In fact, I thought it was pretty interesting after when I first heard of it. And I do find it to be a pretty unique story too, so anyways, let's move on to the gameplay. So this is pretty much an action-adventure game where you had to defeat many different Colossus by climbing on top of them and finding their weak point and just stabbing them. And you really have to use strategy when you're trying to defeat these Colossus, since you have to climb on top of them and then you have to make sure when it's a good time to let go because you have to grab onto their fur or to ledges on them because they're so big and bulky. So I do find that to be pretty interesting, that you really do have to use a lot of strategy with some of the bosses, and also to figure out how you're supposed to beat them or how you're supposed to expose the weak point. So now, as for the controls, they are pretty simple to get used to, and they're also not that hard to figure out, although I do find that the climbing does take some time to get used to since it is a little bit weird. But that is the least of our worries, because I do have two other complaints that I do find to be a bit more harsh than that one. Now, complaint number one would probably have to be the horse. I don't know why, but I just find the horse is just really annoying sometimes. I mean, for one, trying to get on the horse is kind of annoying because you have to jump and grab onto it, and it's just really awkward. Also, I just find that the horse acts really fucking stupid most of the time. I mean, sometimes it actually got me killed, and I was all like, well, gee, thanks. And you really gotta wonder how okay, no pun intended there. Well, anyways, you really gotta wonder what he must have done to the horse. When the horse was first born, did he chuck it right through a wall or some shit? I don't fucking know, but really though, that's what it seems like he did, since the horse just acts so fucking dumb most of the time. And complaint number two would have to be the camera angles. Sometimes I find that the camera always points it at an angle where you don't want it to point at. Sometimes you won't even be able to see yourself, and it's really annoying. And sometimes it feels a little bit jittery. I mean, it's not the worst camera angles I've ever seen in a video game, but it does have that jittery feel at very odd times. And yeah, it's pretty easy to get used to it, but it's just a pain in the ass for the fact that it's just there. Now, that's all really the complaints I can really think about when it comes to controls, but overall, they're actually pretty good. It's just those are the only things I have to complain about, but other than that, it's all good. So it's nothing too major. Now, as for the graphics, for a PS2 game, it actually looks pretty amazing. In fact, it's probably one of the most awesome looking graphics for a PS2 game that I've probably ever seen so far that I know of. And the HD version is even nicer. Durr, how would you guess that, durr? Okay, you shut up, Dick McFuckward. Aww, but I wanted to be in one of your videos. Ever since you mentioned me in Kagero Deception 2 review, you just let me alone. Just please, you have to let me in. Okay, correction. You weren't even in the video. I just made up a random fucking name and apparently you just happened to be a real person, okay? So just shut up and just leave the fucking room, because seriously, I need to finish this video and you're just interrupting me. So just go back to your dumpster. Okay. But I will promise you one thing, is that I will make my own video someday, and you will like it. You understand? Yes, just fucking leave, just go! Alright, we're going back on track. Now anyways, last time I checked, I was looking at the graphics, and yeah, they just look really nice. That's all I have to say. Now as for the music in this game, I find it to be really good. I just find it that it suits very nicely, and at the quiet parts it actually gives us some pretty good suspense, and at the battle parts it just sounds really intense. So yeah, overall I'd have to say the music just sounds really good for what it is, and they actually did it bang on. Now, there is not a lot of voice acting in this game, but there's only two voices that you really hear throughout most of the game, and that is Wonder and the mysterious voice. But one thing I will have to make fun of is that when Wonder calls his horse, he sounds really fucking funny. Kinda sounds like he says, "Hello." Now, I know it's supposed to be the horse's name there, but I mean, since because you always hear it every so often, it just sounds really funny to me. And as for the random voice that's just talking to you and telling you what to do, it's a little bit hard to understand. In fact, sometimes when I listen to it, all I hear is yeah, it kinda sounds like gibberish, doesn't it? But the reason for this is because this game actually made up its own language, and there's not many other games I know that does that. But I do find that it is pretty interesting though. Though the only two games I can really think of on the top of my head would have to be The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, and lastly would have to be the Artoliko series. Well, I have these two, I don't have the second one yet. But it does make up its own language called Hymnos, which is actually pretty awesome. So overall, I really do find it to be a pretty interesting technique that they use within games sometimes. Now, if you want to buy this game, the PS2 version is actually pretty cheap and affordable, so that's pretty good. And as for the HD remake, it is a bit more expensive, but then again, that's because it is a current-gen game. But like I said at the beginning of the video, this version of the game also comes with Ico, which is another game that was made by the same people. So it's pretty cool that you get two games in one. Now, if I had to rate this game, I'd probably have to give it an 8 out of 10. It's good, fun, and intense, and it also happens to be pretty interesting at the same time. But if it wasn't for those complaints that I was talking about earlier, I would have gave this game a 9, but I think an 8 is just alright as it is. But hey, 8 is still fucking good. Although I really wish that horse was not a freaking moron, and I wish the camera was a little bit better. But overall, the game is still a very fun game, and it's still very enjoyable, even to this day. So there's not much else I can say left about this game, but I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching and commenting.